So many American universities have become ground zero for hate and violence against Israel. We have watched that together live for weeks now. Today, a first of its kind bipartisan bill which aims to combat anti-Semitism on campus might just get a vote. It might pass, too. Our next two guests are the co-sponsors. Welcome to the program, New York Democrat Richie Torres and New York Republican Mike Lawler. And gentlemen, thank you for your time, and good morning to both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Your congressional districts practically bump up against each other outside of the city. Congressman Torres, I've heard some Democrats already say they don't like the idea. They think the bill is too broad. Make your case as to why we need it.
Well, look, the majority of Democrats and Republicans share the goal of combating anti-Semitism, but we might have differences about the means by which to achieve the goal. But I support the legislation because it would codify in federal law the IRA definition of anti-Semitism. It recognizes that anti-Zionism, anti-Israel sentiment, can be a form of anti-Semitism, as evidenced by the chaos taking hold on college campuses. And keep in mind that IRA is not an arbitrary definition. It's the product of a long process of deliberation. It's the consensus definition among every leading Jewish organization throughout the world. And so adopting it in federal law is simply a matter of common sense.
Mike Lawler, your thoughts now.
Look, this legislation is critically important at this moment. We are seeing these anti-Semitic protests rise up on college campuses across America, and the failure of these administrators to crack down on them, and in part because they don't adequately understand what anti-Semitism is. This is not some protest just rooted in a conflict between Israel and Palestine. This is a protest that is rooted deeply in anti-Semitism. And so what we are doing with the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act is defining it so that the Department of Education has the teeth to enforce it on Title VI violations of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and that is critically important in this moment.
So I'm reading the bill has 40 co-sponsors, 13 of whom are House Democrats, so maybe it's got a shot here. I want you to listen to Ilhan Omar from this week about Jews on campus and what we have seen so far, and listen to the end of this comment that she makes.
I think it is really unfortunate that people don't care about the fact that all Jewish kids should be kept safe and that we should not have to tolerate anti-Semitism or bigotry for all Jewish students, whether they are pro-genocide or anti-genocide.
She might have been saying the right things there for a while until she got to the end. You're either for genocide or you're against it. Congressman Torres, we have free speech in America, and free speech sometimes can be ugly speech, but there is the First Amendment. How do you overcome that with this legislation?
Well, keep in mind that the First Amendment applies to the government, not to a private university, which has its own policies and its own code of conduct. But even if it did apply to private universities, it's subject to time, place, and manner restrictions. And first, there's a difference between free expression and intimidation, between free expression and harassment. And what we're seeing in places like Columbia University is systematic harassment and intimidation of Jewish students, the creation of a hostile environment for Jews on college campuses in violation of Title VI. And so it's not about free speech. It's about conduct that is putting at risk the safety of Jewish students throughout the country.
One quick question from me, Congressman Lawler. Has the White House said whether they would support this? If it does pass, will the president sign it?
They have not yet. I'm hopeful they will, though. I worked on this legislation with Congressman Gottheimer, Congressman Torres, going back to last year. And we worked through it even in the aftermath of October 7th. We worked with the White House to get their input on this. So I'm hopeful that when this passes the House today, and it will, that Senator Schumer will bring it for a vote immediately in the Senate. It has broad bipartisan support in the Senate as well, and that the White House will embrace this. We have a responsibility to act. These college administrators have failed. President Shafiq has failed in her responsibility to keep the students at Columbia University safe. We met with her last week, and we said very clearly, negotiating with these pro-Hamas agitators is not going to solve the problem. You have to have consequences for actions and conduct. And the failure to get a hold of this campus until the NYPD came in last night is a failure of leadership. And so Congress must act. I hope President Biden will embrace this legislation. Every president since President Obama, including President Biden and President Trump, have adopted the IRA working definition. So this is codifying it into law. We are codifying what is already being done, so they should embrace it.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time. And we'll see what happens today. A Democrat and Republican coming together on an issue that's really, it's gripped the nation. Gentlemen, good luck to you.
Great to have you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.